Hello everyone, and welcome to the 2021 Year 3 Information PowerPoint. Please bear with us a while we bring our presentation up. Excellent. So here you can see the fabulous Year 3 team. It's myself, Mr. Bridgewood. We have Mrs. Stafford, who's the TA in my classroom, and my PPA teacher is Mrs. Bruce. We've also got Mrs. Davis, who's going to be working in 3B with us this year. In 3W, we of course have the excellent Mrs. Weaver, and the TA is Mrs. Ashenhurst, and we also have Mrs. Bloomfield, who will be the 3W PPA teacher. This year we're going to be having our PPA every fortnight on a Tuesday, and obviously, as it says on the PowerPoint, there will also, I said Tuesday, I meant to say Thursday. I'm going to carry on actually, sorry about that. There will also be times during the course of the year where a supply teacher might have to take the class, obviously, and in that case then your child will have adequate cover. Thank you. Right, attendance. The school day officially starts at 8:55, and if your child arrives after this, they will unfortunately be marked as late and they'll have to come through the main office. School finishes at 3:15, and currently the Year 3 children at the end of the day will walk around and be collected on the front playground. We ask that the children stay with us, within sight of us, before going off if their parents appear on the playground. Yeah, the junior gate, the blue side gate, will open at 8:45, and the children are to walk straight around the block and into their classrooms at this point. We will meet them at our classroom door with a cheery smile. Yes, lateness has an impact. It affects your child's learning, and it also unfortunately can be rather annoying if we're halfway through the register and your child repeatedly then arrives. Your child probably wouldn't realize that we were annoyed, obviously, but if children could be on time, it would be excellent. Thank you. And also, if we can aim for 100% attendance, some children actually manage that, and that's great wherever possible. If unfortunately your child is unwell, please keep your child at home and report their absence to the office. Currently, the school streets trial is still in operation. Can we ask you to continue to park considerately around the school area? And all parents and children must access and exit the school site through the small pedestrian gates. Thank you.
Okay, so moving on now to the curriculum side of things. There's an extended piece of text there. I won't read that word for word for you, but that just gives an overarching statement as to what our curriculum at Warden Hill consists of. We've got the core and foundation subjects. We underpin all of our values within that, so the belong, explore and succeed. We look to design our curriculum in a way to ensure that all children are able to meet their full potential, okay, and that they are ready to move further on through the school at Warden Hill into Year 4 and beyond, and then later on through into their adult life as well. We follow an agreed Gloucestershire syllabus for religious education, and for PSHE we follow a Cambridgeshire scheme of work. If you would like to see any of the individual subjects curriculum progression maps, you can see on the screen there, we've got a screenshot of what the website page looks like, and we've also added in the web page link for you as well, and you can see there you've got all the subjects listed, so you can go and have a look at that if you would like to do so. Then coming down into the more specific Year 3 curriculum, we have again got a curriculum map on the website. There is a link there that you can have a look at, and again there's a screenshot there for you to see what you are looking at. That will take you through every subject and goes into further detail as to what we will be covering and which terms we will be covering those areas in as well. And at the start of the autumn, spring and summer term, we will send out our curriculum letter. So the autumn term letter has already come out. There's a wealth of information on there, so it would be really good if you haven't looked at that already. Please do try and take the time to have a look through that. It lets you know sort of an overarching picture of what your child will be looking at this term. They will come out, like I say, spring, summer as well. There's the link there for the current newsletter for you to have a look at. So moving on to look at some subjects specifically. Writing, we will be covering a range of fiction, non-fiction and poetry this year. On each of those texts will have a given purpose. All of those purposes can be found on our curriculum map. Guided reading, again, similar to writing, we will be looking at a variety of texts, fiction, non-fiction and poetry, and we will be using those texts to develop the skills from our VIPERS. Now these VIPERS are on the right hand side of the screen there. They stand for vocabulary, so looking at the meaning of words and things like that. Infer, or you may hear us talk of inference, so taking evidence from the text, clues from the text and trying to unpick it and make those inferences. Prediction, so what might happen next. Explain, explaining maybe what's happened in the story or why a character might be feeling a particular way. Retrieve, so picking out pieces of information from the text. And finally, summarize. So that could be summarizing what's happened in a chapter. It might be that we have statements and we have to put those in the correct order in terms of how they have occurred in the text. In your child's reading journal, there is a copy of the Reading VIPERS, and we will come on to that in a little bit more detail when we talk about the reading journal later on in this presentation. Speaking and listening, we will have 3 units during the year for the children to develop their speaking and listening skills in order to try and speak confidently in terms of the speaking, and then from the listening side of things, making sure that they are responding appropriately, linking it to what they have heard to show that they really have been listening to what the other children have been saying. Our class read, we have already made a start on The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. This is time that we take each day, so every day we will read part of our class read, and the children do thoroughly enjoy that time being read to, which is really, really lovely. And us as teachers, we also enjoy delivering those texts as well. You can see there we've also got the other class reads that we will be looking at during the year. And as a whole school approach to our reading, the whole school class reading map will ensure that the children will be exposed to a range of fiction over their time at school, covering a range of themes and authors. So from their journey from reception all the way through to year 6, we get a good coverage. One thing we would like to say with the class reads is try to refrain from reading them before we have read them to the class, because there might be activities that we're doing that might be predicting and things, and if the children have already read those books, then that prediction side of things isn't quite so effective. If obviously they've already read them, then do not worry at all, but if at the moment they haven't read them, it would be fantastic if it could be kept until we're reading it, and then of course afterwards they can always reread, or even if they want to be following through the text at the same time as us, then that is absolutely fine. Moving on to maths, we will have arithmetic sessions and we will have a dedicated weekly reasoning lesson. And within maths, we will be covering the 4 operations, geometry, time, measure, money, statistics, lots and lots of things to cover in maths. For any of the curriculum, like we've mentioned before, if you would like further details as to specifically what will be being covered and when, please have a look at our curriculum map on the website, because there is a wealth of information on there for you. Moving on to homework. Now, we cannot stress enough the importance of carrying out these homework tasks. It might look like there's a lot there, but they all have such a benefit to your child's learning. They will be consolidating what we have been doing in school, and we cannot stress enough the reading. So we're going to start with that one at the top. We would like you to be reading 4 times a week at home, ideally to an adult on those 4 occasions, and then your child needs to record the date, title and pages in their reading journal. We've got some examples on the next slide of that. Reading journal task. That is going to be set once a week on a Friday. It will be stuck in the back of your child's reading journal. They need to complete it at home, and then the following Thursday we take time first thing in the morning to go through that reading journal task as a class. We then have Bedrock Vocabulary. This hasn't started yet. Once it is up and running, login details will be provided, okay? And the idea is that that will be completed once a week, so on a Friday, and then we will be checking the following Thursday that your child has gone on to Bedrock Vocabulary and completed a session. More details of Bedrock Vocabulary will follow later on. Then, once a week, we will have either a maths or an English, and the English will be linked to SPAG, so our spelling, punctuation and grammar. We will alternate, so 1 week will be maths, 1 week will be SPAG, and it will tie into what we have been doing in class. Again, that will be set on a Friday and then should be handed in by the following Thursday. If it's done before the Thursday, then by all means you can bring that in earlier, but Thursday would be the deadline. Then we have our spellings. So we're in the process at the moment of just setting the spellings up, and once we're ready to go with those to make sure everyone's got the spellings that they need to have that are right for them at this stage, they will be given out on a Friday, and your child will have a green home spelling book. So they will come home in a list in there, and remember to try and use that look, cover, write strategy for learning the spelling. So look at the spelling first, cover it, then write it. The spelling test will be weekly on a Friday, and it really would be fantastic if your child can practice your spellings every day, as that will help for those spellings to then become embedded into their long-term memory. And it isn't just about how they score on the test on the Friday. We want them to be remembering those spellings as they then move through the school year. So it might be worth every so often, if you find you've got a spare 5 minutes, look back at some spellings from a previous week, maybe at home, and just do a quick check. Can your child still spell those? Because obviously we do want them to be going into the long-term memory, not just for that test on a Friday. So we said we'd go into a little bit more detail regarding reading journals. So at the top here, you can see an example of the layout. So each page in the reading journal should have these 3 headings. So we've got the date, the book title and the pages, and that should be at the top of every page, like I said. So each time your child reads at home, they should be recording the date, the title and the pages that they have read. Now, we very much want the children to make this reading journal their own. They can use pens, they can use colours. Okay, we want them to enjoy filling this reading journal in. Now you'll see that there isn't a comment section anymore. We've taken that away. But if the children would like to draw a picture of a character or write a little summary of what they've read, or if they get to the end of the book and they'd like to do a little book review, they can. They don't have to, but they can. We have talked about this in class as well and shared a few examples with the children. So if they'd like to add any other further details in, they can do, and they would just pop that underneath the date and title and the pages read for that day. Moving on to the reading journal task, which we've said will be set once a week and at the back of the book, so please look out for that. Your child can present that in different ways, and you can see we've got a couple of examples there. Okay, one of them has decided to lay it out in bullet points and they've drawn a little picture. Another has decided to do it in sort of clouds around the edge. However your child would like to present their work, that's absolutely fine. Obviously, just bear in mind we want nice legible handwriting so that both your child and us as teachers and teaching assistants can read those. But the reading journal is very much the child's own. We want them to make it their own and really take pride in what they're reading and really looking to share what they have read with us. So recording their school books in there, but if at any stage they pick a book from home, it would be fantastic to see that written in their reading journal as well. And just a quick reminder with the reading, because it is so important, it underpins everything else. Please make sure you are reading and recording 4 times a week. Thank you.
Super, thank you very much. Now if we can just go over the school kit, what your child needs on a daily basis. So it's quite self-explanatory here, but I will go over it. So they need their water bottle, They need a coat, they need a reading book, a reading journal, and their school bag. We provide the children with the materials they need to complete their tasks in school, pens and pencils, etc. We've just given all of the children in the school a really nice heavy-duty plastic wallet, zippable, that they can keep everything that they need for their studies in. On PE and games days, we'd like the children to come into school dressed in their games or the PE kit, wearing their school shoes and school jumper. We'd like the children to bring their trainers in their school bag. When school clubs start, which shouldn't be too long, and children sign up to one of the varieties of clubs on offer, they'll bring their kit to get changed into after school. If they have games or PE that day, then they will be in the kit anyway. Please make sure that all kit is clearly named. And if things change, we will update you on the curriculum newsletter, which is on the website, and you'll get an expression to say that there's been an update for you to check. Thank you. Now, how do we let you know how your child is actually doing, and what assessments do we carry out in class? So we will let you know how your child is doing in the following informal and formal ways. Well, first of all, the easiest way to catch up with us, if there's just a quick point that you want to raise or a question that you have, would be on pick up from the playground. And indeed, sometimes we'll want to sort of just catch you and ask you or tell you something about something that may have happened during that day. And then parents' evenings. We will have one just before half term in October. This is the sort of the how well they've settled in parent evening, as well as talking about any progress that the child will have made since the start of term. It will be a focus on the core subjects. For us, this also includes science, along with where necessary, we will talk about foundation subjects if we feel the need to do so. There will be a second parents evening around about March time. You'll also have reports during the course of the year. So in between parents' evening, there's a very short mid-year report for the core subject based on attainment and progress made. And then at the end of the year, there's a fully comprehensive report which covers all subjects and your child's attainment within those subjects. The assessments that your child will go through. In order to ascertain progress and therefore attainment in subjects, we use a variety of ways to obtain this information. We use informal assessments on a daily basis in the classroom. We're always scanning around the class, seeing how children are getting on, making mental notes. We also question the children all of the time and talk with them when they're completing their tasks independently. We then also, at relevant points during the year, use formal assessments, and the ones that we use are called NFER assessments, and we use those in reading, well, to look at the children's reading, spelling and grammar, and maths. Okay, in year 3 then, how do we support the children's wider personal development? Well, there's a plethora of inter-house events which encourage teamwork, resilience, and respect. We've got an excellent positive behaviour policy, which is referred to as the Warden Hill Way. We have regular assemblies where key themes of British values, tolerance, respect the law, individuality, and democracy are talked about. For example, on Monday this last week, Mrs. Flukes had the first assembly for the year. She was really pleased because all the children were back in the hall all together, and her first assembly was based on British values. And the year 3 teachers were in that assembly, and we were very pleased to report that lots of children understood lots of the British values already when they were asked by Mrs. Flukes about that. Some assemblies will also be led by the pupils during this year, class assemblies. Okay, then we have very regular PSHE lessons where children explore well-being, and they explore correct behavior, and they explore sort of cause and effect and that kind of thing. Very useful. The children also get yoga lessons once a week, and they're truly excellent. We had our first yoga lesson this week. Some children will be very fortunate because they may be elected to be either a school council or an Eco Warrior. We have elections for those posts. We also have science ambassadors and class librarians. Okay, we did talk earlier about the opportunities that children will have in the many after-school clubs, which will be announced soon. Also during the school year, there will be wellbeing days, and our school does have a wellbeing lead. We also have forest school sessions, which the children absolutely love, and the teachers as well, and school trips linked to the curriculum. There's also wider school trips and events. For example, the children get to visit the Literature Festival and also the Science Festival. And subject-specific trips and events. For example, some children will be going off on little music trips, or possibly art or games trips. For example, our Year 3 children recently, I think it was the year before last, got to go to Gloucester to perform some gamelan music on some musical instruments, and that was a thoroughly enjoyable experience, which really added to their understanding of the music curriculum.
So that brings us towards our final slide now of the presentation in terms of, getting in touch and things like that. Like Mr. Bridges already mentioned, you can catch us on the playground, but if you would like a sort of more in-depth conversation, then do please get in touch via the office, and the email address is there, and then they can arrange for us to either have a phone call with you or catch you for longer on the playground, or whatever it is that is needed to touch base with you there. So the admin address is there, and we are really, really, really looking forward to the year ahead. I'm just going to stop the presentation share, so if you just bear with me one moment. So that brings us to the end. Any questions, like we've said before, see us on the playground, drop the office an email, and we are always here to help. Thank you very much for taking the time to listen to this information PowerPoint, and we will see you very soon. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.